Good morning, all. Today is March 26th, and today we come to my favorite chapter of Scripture. It's Deuteronomy chapter 6. And one of the reasons it's my favorites is because I think it's just such a clear explanation of what the fear of the Lord is. It says here right at the beginning, Deuteronomy 6, beginning in verse 1, "These are the commands, decrees, and laws that the Lord your God directed me to teach you, to observe in the land that you are crossing the Jordan to possess, so that you, your children, and their children after them may fear the Lord your God as long as you live, by keeping all his decrees and commands that I give you, and so that you may enjoy long life." So here he links fearing the Lord by keeping his commandments, and I think that's just so important to understand that fearing the Lord means obedience to him. I think we have a very narrow view of the fear of the Lord from our English reading of it because we think of fear as terror or something like that. But the word fear doesn't really mean that in Scripture. I mean, I think it has that element to it that we should certainly fear the one who can sentence us to hell forever, and righteously should do that because of our sin. But there's more to fear than that because it's something that motivates us from the inside out. It's based on the love of God for us, actually, and the knowledge that we are not holy, that we lack the ability to be in his presence because of our lack of holiness, because we are sinful. And so the fear is really that we will not fulfill that destiny for which we were completed, or which we were created, which is really to image him well, to have a relationship with him. And the thing that keeps us from that is our sin. And so there's a fear that we will fall short of what we are created for because we are separated from him by our sin. But then when we realize that he overcomes that, that he compensates for that, that he propitiates for that, that he overcomes it by offering himself on our behalf, and then cleanses us from our sin and calls us into his presence, that should not erase our fear, but it helps us to know that that he is on our side, that he is for us, that he desires for us to have a relationship with him, that we can be cleansed from our sin and be in his presence. And so that fear leads to obedience, not again because I would find a way to repay him for what he's done or try to earn his favor, but it's a natural response in my heart because of what he's already done for me. So it's an intrinsic motivation, something that flows out from inside that causes me to want to be obedient to him. I know you've heard this from me a lot, but Isaiah chapter 6, I think, is the best picture of that. When Isaiah sees God high and exalted and lifted up in heaven in all of his glory, he says, "Woe's me, I'm a man of unclean lips, and I live among a people of unclean lips." And he thinks that his destiny is death and separation from God, and that's the rightful thing, what he deserves. And yet, the only thing he wants, the only thing he desires, is to be cleansed and then do whatever God would ask him to do. And so after he's cleansed, the angel then brings that coal, cleanses his lips, and God says, "Well, who will go for us, and who should I send?" And Isaiah says, "Here am I, send me." And I think that's the right response. Is there is nothing we could imagine doing that we would want to offend a God who is so overwhelmingly loving that he would uh, bring me back after I've rejected him, cause me to be cleansed and kept in his presence. And so the righteous response is to live in obedience to him. So I think that's really helpful from Deuteronomy 6, the first three verses. That's it for today.